Welcome to Motivational Humanity. You are not alone.
Can I ask you something honest? When was the last time someone asked you how you were really doing, and you actually told them the truth? Not the polished answer. Not the "I'm fine, just a little tired," but the real truth. The one that lives in the quiet part of your chest. The one that comes out only at 2 a.m. when the house is still and no one is watching. If you can't remember, if it's been years, maybe decades, then this video is for you. Because somewhere along the way, many of us, especially women who have spent a lifetime holding things together, learned a silent, dangerous lesson that to be vulnerable is to be weak. That to show your tears, your fears, your confusion, your grief is to let people down, to fall apart, to fail. Today I want to gently, carefully take that belief apart. Because it is not the truth, and it may be the very thing standing between you and the peace you deserve. You have lived a full life. You have raised families, carried grief, rebuilt yourself after losses you never expected. You have shown up day after day for everyone around you, often without anyone asking if you were okay. And now maybe you find yourself in a season of life that doesn't look the way you imagined. Maybe you're facing an illness, your own or someone you love. Maybe a relationship has changed. Maybe the children you poured your heart into have grown distant, and you don't know why. Maybe you're grieving something no one else seems to understand, a version of your life that quietly slipped away. Whatever it is, whatever you're carrying right now, I want you to know this: you don't have to carry it perfectly. The strength you've shown all these years, I see it. I honor it. But strength was never meant to mean silence. It was never meant to mean alone. Psychology calls it emotional suppression. What it looks like in real life is a woman who has learned to smile through heartbreak, to give without asking, to grieve quietly in the car between errands. If that sounds familiar, you are not broken. You are someone who learned very early that your feelings were a burden to others. That was never true. And today, we're going to change that story. Let me start with the science, because this matters. Dr. Brené Brown, who spent over 20 years studying human connection, found something that surprised everyone, including her. After thousands of interviews, she discovered that the people who felt the deepest sense of belonging, love, and joy in their lives had one thing in common: they were willing to be seen. Fully, even when it was uncomfortable. They didn't wait until they had it together to ask for help. They didn't hide their struggles to protect other people's comfort. They let themselves be known. Now here's the question: where did we learn that showing emotion is weakness? For many women in our generation, it came from watching the adults around us. Mothers who cried in private. Fathers who got on with things. A culture that praised a woman who was strong and quietly judged one who fell apart. There's a word for what that created in us: emotional stoicism. The belief that feeling deeply, but not showing it, is the mark of a mature woman. But here is what research tells us: emotional stoicism has a cost. Studies in psychoneuroimmunology, the science of how our emotions affect our bodies, show that chronic emotional suppression raises cortisol levels, weakens immune response, and is linked to higher rates of depression and anxiety in older adults. In plain language, keeping everything locked inside doesn't make you stronger. It makes you sick, slowly, quietly, in ways that are easy to miss. Vulnerability is not the opposite of strength. It is the evidence of it. Because it takes real courage to say, "I am hurting. I am scared. I don't know how to do this." Far more courage than silence ever requires. I want to tell you about water and stone. If you've ever been to a river, you've seen how water over time carves its shape into rock. Not through force, through persistence, through showing up day after day in the same quiet way. Our nervous systems work the same way. When we experience pain, loss, fear, betrayal, loneliness, and we don't let it move through us, it doesn't disappear. It settles, it carves grooves. It lives in the body as tension in the shoulders, tightness in the chest, restless nights and heavy mornings. Psychologists call this somatic memory. The body keeps a record of what the mind tries to forget. Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, one of the world's leading trauma researchers, put it simply, the body keeps the score. What we don't process emotionally, we carry physically. I think of a woman I'll call Margaret. She came to therapy in her late 60s, not because she felt sad. She told her therapist she was fine, really, but because her back pain had become unbearable. She couldn't sleep. She felt exhausted in a way that rest didn't fix. In their sessions, she began to talk. Really talk. About her husband's death 3 years earlier. About how she had stayed strong for the children. About how she had never actually cried. Not properly. When she finally did, something shifted. It wasn't the grief that was destroying her. It was the weight of holding it. Your tears are not weakness. They are your nervous system doing exactly what it was designed to do, release what cannot stay. Let me ask you something gently. If your daughter called you in real pain, confused, struggling, would you feel burdened? Would you think less of her? Of course not. You would feel needed. You would feel trusted. You would feel love. So why do we believe that when we reach out, we're doing something different to the people who love us? There is a concept in psychology called interdependence. It's the understanding that healthy human beings need each other. Not because they are weak, but because connection is how we are wired. We are not meant to be islands. Not at 30, not at 65. Psychologist Erik Erikson, who studied human development across the full lifespan, described the central challenge of our later years as integrity versus despair. He found that people who thrived in their later decades were not the ones who had experienced less pain. They were the ones who had learned to let others in. When you allow someone to help you, truly help you, you are not taking from them. You are giving them something precious, the chance to matter. The chance to show up for you, the way you have always shown up for everyone else. Asking for help is not a failure of independence. It is the beginning of real relationship. There is a reason many of us have spent decades hiding our pain, and it has a name. Shame, not guilt. Guilt says, I did something bad. Shame says, I am bad. Shame is the feeling that if people saw the real you, the scared you, the broken-hearted you, the lost you, they would leave. For women who grew up being praised for being capable, dependable, selfless, shame about struggling can run very, very deep. Because the message, often unspoken, was your value comes from what you give. And what happens when you have nothing left to give? When you are the one who needs. Dr. Brown calls shame a swamp. The more you struggle in it alone, the deeper you sink. But shame, she found, cannot survive being spoken. It cannot live in the light of a compassionate witness. That's the science. Here's what it means in real life. The moment you say to a trusted person, I'm not okay, and I haven't been for a while, something changes. The story you've been telling yourself in the dark starts to lose its power, because another person hears it and doesn't run. They don't judge. They say, me too, I see you. You are still enough. A vulnerability doesn't invite people to leave you. It invites the right people to stay. There is a theory in psychology called socio-emotional selectivity theory, developed by Dr. Laura Carstensen at Stanford. It sounds complicated, but the idea is beautiful. She found that as we grow older and become more aware of time, our priorities shift. We care less about impressing people and more about meaning, less about quantity of connection and more about depth. We naturally begin to let go of what is not essential and move toward what truly matters. This is not loss. This is wisdom. This season of your life is not a winding down. It is, if you let it be, a clarifying, a coming home to yourself. But here is the thing, that journey inward, that honest reckoning with who you are, what you've carried, what you want to release, it requires vulnerability. It requires you to look at the places you've kept sealed and say, I'm ready now to let some air in. Carl Jung called this process individuation, becoming, at last, fully and authentically yourself. He believed it was the real work of the second half of life. The women who do this work, who allow themselves to feel, to reach out, to be honest about their experience, are not falling apart. They are becoming more whole than they have ever been. And that is the most courageous thing I have ever seen. So let me leave you with this. You have spent so many years being strong for others. And that strength, that beautiful, fierce, devoted strength, is part of who you are. But strength was never meant to be armor. It was never meant to keep people out. It was never meant to mean I will feel nothing. I will need no one. I will hold this alone until I can't anymore. Real strength looks like this. It looks like a woman who has been through more than most people will ever understand, and who chooses, even now, even after everything, to stay open, to let someone in, to say, I need you without apology. It looks like you, right now, watching this, not because life is easy, but because you are still searching, still growing, still brave enough to sit with the hard questions. That is not weakness. That has never been weakness. Vulnerability is not the place where you fall apart. It is the place where you are finally, fully seen. And you deserve to be seen exactly as you are, right now, in this season. With all its beauty and all its ache, you are not too old to heal. You are not too far gone to be held. You are not too broken to begin again. You are just ready, and ready is enough. Before you go, I want to ask you to do one small thing. In the comments below, write the words, I am reclaiming my peace. Not for the algorithm, though it does help this message reach more women who need it, but for yourself. Because there is power in saying it out loud, even in writing. Because your peace is worth claiming. Because you are worth claiming. And if today's video touched something in you, if it stirred something you've kept quiet for a long time, I want to hear about it. Tell me in the comments. Tell me what's been sitting in your chest. I read every single one. If someone in your life needs to hear this message, a sister, a friend, a daughter who is also struggling, please share this with them. These conversations change lives. Sometimes just knowing you are not alone is enough to begin again. I'll see you in the next one. Take good care of yourself. You've earned it.